Good morning, everyone. This is the next video in the series of video that we are making for self-assessment form of the SQAA manual, which is the School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework, recently released by CBSE. Today, my guest is Dr. Rajeshwari Sawant, Principal of Gwalior Glory High School, a very dear friend, master trainer of the pilot study of the SQAA framework with CBSE. Ma'am Rajeshwari Sawant is a dynamic principal, a able administrator, a team builder, a strong interpersonal and managerial skill personnel. She is very resilient, driven, excellent communication skills and presentation skills. A much decorated principal. She's been a treasurer, a secretary, a vice president, and now currently she's the chairman of Gwalior Sahodaya. She has been the CBSE appointed resource person for CCE, Adolescent Education Program, Peer Education Program, resource person for Zonal Institute of Educational Technology, that is ZEET, and she has been awarded multiple awards. Was the recognition by the MHRD, the CBSE National Award for Teachers. My congratulations, ma'am. She has also been decorated with Adarsh Shikshak Samman by ITM University Gwalior for dedicated service in the field of education by Maharashtra Samaj. Again, for the field of education by Vijaya Raje Institute of Sciences and Management. She's also received the Best District and Best Zonal Principal by Science Olympiad Foundation. A number of other achievements to her credit, but we now put a stop here and move on with ma'am so that we discuss the domains here. Today, I'll be requesting ma'am to discuss the first domain of the SQAA framework, which is curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. This domain includes a wide range of policies, practices, and well-defined outcomes for student learning in the schools. The domain is subdivided into 7 subdomains. Basically, it involves everything that pertains to student growth and the school curriculum, whether it is co-curricular or curricular. So it almost touches all areas, and as a result, it touches and affects all stakeholders. Another thing before we begin that I would like to mention here, this is one of the heaviest or the most important domain of the SQAA framework. It carries 40% weightage compared to the 10% weightage of all the other 6 domains. So ma'am, we'll be taking up 3 subdomains with you today, which will be domain 1.1, that is curriculum and planning, domain 1.3, that is student enrichment, skill-based and vocational education programs embedded in the annual curriculum and pedagogical plan, and domain 1.5, which is values and ethos. Ma'am, I would really want you to touch up briefly these domains so that this video helps schools, managements, and principals and teachers to understand the SQAA framework better so that they can evaluate themselves better and the aspirational stage that they want to achieve. They have a clear picture about that. It's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vinodita, for the elated introduction that you've given of mine. And I'm really happy that I would be sharing my perspective on this important domain, as you mentioned. And we'll be taking specifically 3 standards, which is 1.1, 1.3, and 1.5.
It's a beautiful document, very well spelled out, very easy to follow. And I'm sure all schools will interpret as per their own context. They will relate it to their own context. So we are just putting here an effort to make it comfortable for all schools. And let's see, we all grow together as the CBSE desires. So.
Even the National Education Policy 2020 talks about, cross-curricular studies for students, and that they should be learning and learning for life. So it is so important that this aspect of curriculum pedagogy and assessment has to deal with these aspects so that students are going to learn and learn for life and not with the objective of an examination system. Now, we also should understand that this particular domain has a blending of the curricular as well as the co-curricular activities. The academic and non-academic processes are blended beautifully in this particular domain so that students' learning outcomes are going to be extremely fruitful, positive, which integrates arts, values, life skills, sports also, which is so important in the present day scenario, since health and wellness, both physical as well as mental, are extremely important in a student's life. So keeping this in mind, a continual upgrade of teachers, especially through the capacity building programs, and to enhance their competencies through competency-based teaching learning, and also to bring in a culture of inclusivity, which is so important in today's schools, so that the students benefit and rise up to the occasion. Now, when we come up with the details of this particular domain, the idea is to understand the spirit behind the SQAA framework, to understand and interpret the standards that are defined in the domains, understand the commonality and diversity in the CBSE schools, understand the policy documents and their impact on student outcomes, apply and analyze given documents as per demographic regions. I specify here the last pointer, that is apply and analyze given documents as per demographic regions, because what could be happening in Punjab may not be applicable to Tamil Nadu and may not be applicable to West Bengal, because the demographies vary from place to place. As sociologists talk about it, every 50 kilometers there is a change in dialect, change in habits and customs. So we should keep in mind even this factor when we are applying the documents of the NCERT and analyze it and ensure that it is going to be beneficial for all.
Ma'am, the other day we were discussing this also, that under the SQAA framework or self-assessment, it will be for all kinds of schools: rural, urban, semi-urban, KVs, GNVs, funded, non-funded, even out of India. There are CBSE schools out of India also. So some schools have a hostel. So that is why the idea of it being contextual is very important.
Yes,
it will never be that what A is doing, B should also do the same.
No. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to follow a particular set pattern, right? So depending upon what are the requirements of your school and what are the requirements of your teachers and your students, it will be applicable. Though the National Curriculum Framework, the NCERT curriculum, the CBSE defined documents are all going to be applicable commonly. But taking it into your school according to the needs of your school is extremely important. So when we come to this standard, that is 1.1.1, principal and teachers are familiar with the spirit and content of NCF and recommendations of NEP. The National Curriculum Framework for the ECC, that is Early Child Care Education, has been already launched and it is brought into practice. And the draft rules for the remaining classes, that is from class 3 onwards, has already been floated. And suggestions and comments are invited from all stakeholders so that it can be a very well-researched document that can be implemented across the country, irrespective of where it is going to be followed. So it's so important that the National Curriculum Framework has a great importance in the curriculum planning of a school. And also the National Education Policy 2020 recommends a lot of things which has been incorporated in the draft rules of the NCF, which all of us need to read, analyze, and comment so that whatever is recommended there is going to be practical for schools to follow. So this is something which I was wanting to dwell more upon, where we would be talking about, now when we talk about the levels, Now, when schools are looking into it for its self-assessment, the team of teachers and the principal need to see whether they are at level 1, which is the inceptive stage, or level 2, which is the transient stage, or the level 3, which is the stable stage, or level 4, which is dynamic and evolving. It doesn't mean that you've reached level 4, doesn't mean that there is not much to do after that. There is a lot of scope to do better than what you are at, because benchmarking your levels is extremely important, and doing better than where you are is extremely important. So what I would do is
if I may
level
add
1.
here, supposing a school feels that they are at level 3,
Yeah,
the performance indicators are given there, which are suggestive that if you have all these, you can
yeah,
presume that you are at level 3 or the stable level. But
right.
then it will also mean that you already have level 1 and level 2 performance indicators in place.
Yes.
We cannot skip the levels.
You cannot, because once
Yeah.
you have seen that you have fulfilled the requirements of level 1, only then can you analyze whether you have reached the level 2 stage 2. And if the level 2 stage is also something which you already are well versed with, then you analyze whether you are at level 3, that is the stable stage, right? It's so
And
important.
then they can move on to their aspirational stage, that this is what we aspire for and this
Right.
is where we want to go.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what I would want to say is, where in the level 1, it's very, very basic, where school leaders have read the NEP and NCF documents and engaged in discussions with the stakeholders of the school, that is the parents, the management, the teachers, as well as the students. Students also play a very significant role in this. So, has this been kind of dwelled upon by involving all these people, and has it been discussed in such a way that everybody understands what the NEP requirements are, what is proposed in the NCF documents? So that is one aspect. The other thing here is school leaders have identified the key recommendations of the NEP and NCF.